As I remember it, I was at home doing some schoolwork one evening when my brother burst in saying, "I've just seen this amazing film at the National Film Theatre." It was the last kind of film I'd have expected him to be interested in. It was a 1940s Hollywood romantic comedy. "But it was fantastic," he told me. "They're running another one by the same guy tomorrow. You've got to come." Well, I did, and that's why I'm sitting here now introducing this season of 5 films by the same guy, Preston Sturges. One of the first things that interested me about Preston Sturges was the fact that he not only directed his films, but wrote them as well. There he was, working in Hollywood at the height of the studio system, when the movie moguls were hiring and firing directors, actors and writers, and packaging movies according to their own tastes, making films that were totally his own. In fact, Paramount billed him with the kind of imagination for which movie moguls were famous, as the man who writes everything he directs. How did Preston Sturges get into this privileged position, especially with a name like that? Well, he started off in life as plain old Edmund P. Blyden, the son of a Chicago stockbroker. His mother moved in artistic circles. She was a friend of Isadora Duncan, the dancer, and is reputed to have lent her the fateful scarf with which Isadora was strangled by a motor car, but that's another story. According to some accounts, Mrs. Blyden's love of European culture bordered on the obsessive. She apparently once sent young Preston to school in Chicago dressed in a Greek tunic. The point is that both his parents were successful in more fields than one. His stockbroker father, for instance, was also at one time champion cyclist of Illinois, while his mother ran a flourishing cosmetic firm. And Preston seems to have inherited this love of combining wildly different interests and activities. In the 20s, while he was working for his mother's company, he was also writing for Broadway and came up with at least one smash hit. He moved on to Hollywood in 1932, and there, while he was penning screenplays with names like Hotel Haywire and 30-Day Princess, he also founded the Sturges Engineering Company, which manufactured diesel engines and parts for luxury yachts. A few years later, at the very moment he was making his debut as a motion picture director, he was also launching into the catering industry. He established the Players Restaurant on Sunset Boulevard. And all the time, he was an indefatigable inventor, with patents pending and sometimes granted for kiss-proof lipstick, waterproof hinges, an exercycle, a car that moved sideways to make parking easier, and an emotionally efficient hearing aid, whatever that is, and modified traffic lights that blinked and waggled. Despite all this, he managed to write a string of successful screenplays. Sturges finally persuaded Paramount to let him try his hand at directing by agreeing to charge no more than $10 for his services. However, within a few years, he was to become, for a period, the 3rd highest paid citizen in the United States. 5 of the films that followed The Great McGinty are generally reckoned to be his greatest achievement, though he turned them out in a matter of 4 years. It's these films we're going to be seeing in this season. The first is The Lady Eve. He wrote it specifically for the dangerously beautiful Barbara Stanwyck, but had to fight Paramount for permission to use her. He then borrowed the unbelievably good-looking Henry Fonda from Fox to play the role of the wealthy brewer's son with a fascination for snakes. Stanwyck and Fonda both turn in stunning performances. The dialogue crackles, and as always with Sturges' films, the material repays seeing again and again. Every time I see these films, I see something I've missed before. Watch in particular the wonderful sequence on the luxury liner in which Barbara Stanwyck gives a running commentary on the other ladies paying their devotions to Fonda, before she finally springs her own trap and secures him as fast as one of his own tropical specimens. Watch too for the actors in the smaller parts who form a sort of repertory company in all of Sturges' films, giving the movies an overall continuity. You'll be seeing a lot more of William Demarest, Fonda's truculent valet come bodyguard, Frank Morgan, Eric Blore and the others in the next few weeks. The Lady Eve was the film that my brother had seen that evening at the NFT. I hope it surprises and delights you now as much as it did him then.